Nobody is coming to save you. That's the first truth you must swallow if you ever want to take full control of your life. It's uncomfortable, it's heavy, but it's real. The sooner you accept that no one is going to carry you, fix you, or hand you the life you dream about, the faster you start becoming the person capable of building it on your own. Most people are waiting for someone to notice their pain, to reward their potential, to offer them a shortcut out of struggle. But here's the brutal reality. The world isn't waiting for you. It keeps moving. It doesn't pause for your suffering, your setbacks, or your self-pity. Everyone is carrying their own weight, and no one is obligated to carry yours too. The people around you might care, they might love you, but they cannot live for you. They cannot work for you. They cannot climb the mountain that belongs to your name. And even those who say they support you have limits to how far they'll go when you're not carrying your own. That's not cruelty, it's reality. Nobody can fight your battles but you. Nobody is going to knock on your door and say, it's your time now. You have to decide that for yourself. You have to become so hungry, so focused, so determined, that no matter who's watching or not watching, you keep moving forward. Because waiting for someone else to care more about your future than you do is the fastest way to destroy your potential. This is the season where you stop begging for attention and start earning your own respect. This is where you stop looking outside for answers and start building inside. Nobody cares how hard it's been. Life doesn't hand out medals for suffering. What matters is what you do next. You can sit there and replay your traumas, you can complain about what others didn't do for you, or you can stand up, own everything, and rewrite the story from this chapter forward. It's not about blame anymore. It's about power. And power begins when you stop giving excuses and start taking action. No one is responsible for the direction of your life except you. When you stop expecting help, you start discovering strength. When you stop seeking comfort from the world, you start creating resilience inside yourself. You begin to realize that all those hard moments were not meant to break you. They were training you. They were chiseling away the weakness, the passivity, the fantasy that someone else would do it for you. You were never supposed to be saved. You were supposed to rise. You were supposed to dig deep, build discipline, create your own structure, and push forward without applause, without handouts, without sympathy. This mindset isn't about becoming cold or bitter. It's about becoming clear. Clear that the world owes you nothing, and yet you still have the power to create anything. You don't need anyone to validate your journey for it to matter. You don't need a crowd to confirm your worth. You were given breath and time and will. That's your fuel. Use it. The moment you decide to be your own savior is the moment life begins to shift. You begin to rise with a different energy. You move differently. You think differently. You stop chasing and start building. You stop crying for help and start creating your own way out. This is not the path for the weak-minded. This is the path for those willing to trade comfort for growth, for those who know that the world may not care, but they do. And that's enough, because when you care deeply enough about your future, your legacy, your strength, then no outside voice can stop you. You'll walk through storms alone. You'll endure seasons of silence. You'll face doubt from others and even more from yourself, but you'll keep going. Not because someone is watching, but because you made a decision that your life matters, and you are the one responsible for making it count. So stop waiting. Nobody cares in the way you wish they would. And that's not something to mourn. It's something to embrace, because it means you are free. Free to stop explaining. Free to stop seeking approval. Free to rise, to build, to focus fully on you. People don't care about your explanations. They care about outcomes. You can spend your whole life justifying why things didn't happen, why you didn't succeed, why you couldn't push through, but none of that will change your reality. The world doesn't reward the most reasonable story. It rewards results. This is why so many people stay stuck. They get lost in the endless loop of telling themselves and others why they aren't where they want to be, hoping that sympathy will fill the gap that discipline was supposed to. But here's the truth that separates the weak from the powerful. Explanations are noise and action is clarity. When you stop trying to convince everyone of your worth and start proving it with consistency, everything changes. People stop listening to your words and start watching your progress. And progress speaks louder than anything else ever could. The habit of explaining yourself is a trap. It keeps you stuck in the past, obsessing over what went wrong instead of focusing on what you can do now. Every time you explain your delay, you reinforce your identity as someone who is behind. But when you shift your energy away from justifying and into doing, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become an architect of change. You stop saying, "I'm trying," and start showing, "I'm doing." There's power in letting your work do the talking. Power in walking into rooms without needing to prove anything because your results already have. Let your life become your answer. Let your consistency speak. Let your discipline create a silence so strong that nobody can question your commitment again. And if they still do, let them. That's not your concern anymore. The only thing that matters now is execution. The time for convincing, explaining, and defending is over. The world doesn't need your reasons. It needs your results. If you want people to respect your journey, give them no choice. Build something undeniable. Create a life so aligned with discipline, effort, and focus that not a single word is required to explain how far you've come. Let silence be your language and your results be your voice. Your emotions are real, but they are not commands. They don't get to dictate the direction of your life unless you let them. You feel tired, you feel afraid, you feel uncertain. That's human. But successful people learn early that feelings are fleeting, and discipline is what drives results. If you only move when you feel like it, you'll never move far. Your emotions might scream for comfort, but your future demands discomfort. Pain, fear, frustration, those are signals, not stop signs. They are part of the process, not excuses to quit. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for lightning to strike the same place twice. It's unpredictable, unreliable, and completely unnecessary when you're committed. Strength is built in the moments where your emotions tell you to stop, but your principles tell you to keep going. You rise above the wave of feeling, not because you're numb, but because you're trained. You know that the emotional storm will pass, but the consequences of quitting last forever. Fear will show up every time you try to grow. Doubt will knock on your door the moment you step toward progress. That's not a reason to stop. It's proof you're on the edge of something important. Emotion tempts you to shrink, but discipline dares you to expand. The mind that obeys emotion becomes a prisoner to circumstance. But the mind trained to observe emotion without surrendering to it becomes unstoppable. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act like you're ready until readiness becomes real. There is power in showing up on the days when every fiber of your being wants to stay still. That's when identity shifts. That's when you earn your own respect. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally disciplined. Let your feelings come. Acknowledge them. And then choose your response. Always choose the action that aligns with your vision, not your mood. Because feelings lie, but effort never does. You don't rise when you feel like it. You rise when you move through what you feel and still do what's required. That's what makes you unstoppable. Sometimes the only way to find clarity is to disappear into your work. Not physically, not emotionally, but mentally. To go so deep into your mission that the noise of the world starts to fade. Because the truth is, most people are not distracted by obstacles. They're distracted by attention. They crave recognition before they've built anything worth recognizing. But real power comes when you become unavailable to everything except your purpose. When you stop posting, talking, explaining, and start executing in silence. When your daily grind becomes a private dialogue between you and your higher self. No applause, no feedback, no validation, just effort. There's something sacred about isolating your energy from the noise. When you disappear into your discipline, distractions start to feel unnatural. Gossip, laziness, excuses, they lose their grip on you because you've tasted a deeper form of focus. You begin to measure your days not by what you consumed, but by what you created. Not by how many people noticed, but by how deeply you moved forward. This is where transformation starts. When you can sit in silence and work without needing a single word of approval. It's lonely, yes. But it's also liberating. You don't need to be seen to become someone. You don't need a stage to be significant. Those who master their craft in isolation are the ones who dominate in public. But it starts with a decision to disappear, not from life, but from distractions. To say, right now I owe everything to the work. No split focus, no halfway effort, just full immersion. Let others chase shortcuts. Let others chase applause. You chase growth. Let your work become your sanctuary. Let the process become your obsession. Because when you come back, when the results speak, you won't need to convince anyone of who you are. You will have built something so solid, so powerful, that silence itself will carry your message. The grind doesn't ask for attention, it commands it, not through noise, but through undeniable presence. Talent without effort is wasted potential. It might impress people for a moment, but it doesn't build anything lasting, because when life gets hard, and it always does, natural ability isn't what keeps you going. Work ethic is. It's the people who show up daily, whether they feel like it or not, who make it to the finish line. The truth is, talent is common. Discipline is rare. Everyone has a gift, but very few develop it through relentless repetition. That's why the world is full of people with dreams, but only a few with results. You don't get ahead by being gifted. You get ahead by being obsessed with getting better every single day. The dangerous thing about talent is that it tricks you into believing you don't need to try as hard. It makes you comfortable. It makes you soft. But life doesn't reward potential. It rewards preparation. The ones who win aren't always the most gifted. They're the most prepared. They're the ones who ran extra laps when no one was watching. They're the ones who kept sharpening their skills when others relaxed. Because they knew that one day the moment would come, and they had to be ready. You don't rise when it's easy. You rise because you trained when it was hard. There is no secret path. There is no shortcut. The difference between the average and the exceptional is simply who was willing to go deeper into the grind. Effort beats talent when talent refuses to work. You need to be dangerous, not because you were born with it, but because you built it. Repetition, discipline, patience. That's what makes your gift valuable. Your edge isn't in your genes, it's in your grind. So don't just rely on what you were given. Turn it into something undeniable. Let your obsession with progress become so intense that you make talent irrelevant. That's the power of showing up, day after day, long after the thrill is gone. That's the mindset that builds something no one can take from you. Focus is a superpower in a world that's starving for attention. Everywhere you turn, there's noise. Notifications, opinions, temptations, distractions disguised as entertainment. Most people are pulled in every direction, scattering their energy across meaningless things. But the few who rise above, the ones who truly build, grow, and lead, they've mastered the discipline of focus. They understand that energy is currency, and whatever you give your attention to, you are funding with your future. That's why they protect it with intensity. Because without focus, even the most ambitious goals dissolve into unfulfilled potential. Every time you say yes to something small, you may be saying no to something that could change your life. Time spent scrolling, gossiping, or chasing approval is time lost forever. Success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to those who know how to block out noise and lock in on what matters. The ability to tune out the world, to simplify your life, to eliminate everything that weakens your momentum, that's the edge you need. Focus makes you dangerous, not loud, not busy, dangerous. Because when your mind is aligned with your mission, nothing can stop you. You move faster, you think clearer, you execute better. Discipline isn't just about doing hard things, it's about not doing the wrong things. It's saying no to what feels good now so you can have what matters most later. Every distraction that tempts you is a test of your commitment. Will you trade your future for another dopamine hit? Or will you elevate your standards and guard your mind like your life depends on it? Because it does. Focus isn't a skill you're born with. It's a muscle you train through decisions, one ignored distraction at a time. The world will always try to pull you in, to make you blend in, to break your rhythm. Don't let it. Choose clarity over chaos. Choose depth over noise. Choose progress over popularity. And watch how fast your life begins to shift. Not because everything around you changes, but because you finally stopped chasing everything and started mastering one thing. You don't need more time, you need more intention. The lie people tell themselves is that they'll get serious when things slow down, when life becomes easier, when the perfect window opens. But that moment never comes. Time will not wait for you to feel ready. Opportunity will not pause until you get your life together. Every day that passes is either moving you closer to your goals or further away, and that movement is controlled by how intentional you are with the minutes you already have. Everyone gets 24 hours. The difference between average and exceptional isn't time. It's how that time is owned, directed, and multiplied through focus and purpose. Most people are busy being busy. They confuse motion with progress. They chase to-do lists that look productive but avoid the actions that actually move the needle. But the truth is, life doesn't reward motion, it rewards direction. You have to know where you're going, and every decision must reflect that destination. If you don't claim your day with purpose, the world will claim it for you, with distractions, demands, and noise. That's why the greatest transformation begins not with doing more, but with doing what matters. Eliminate the extra. Kill the unnecessary. Cut the mental clutter. Clarity doesn't come from having more time. It comes from having stronger decisions. When you live with intention, even a single hour can change your life. It's not about grinding 20 hours a day. It's about using your limited time with such precision that it compounds. 1 hour of focused work is more powerful than 10 hours of half-hearted effort. This is how legacies are built, through relentless, deliberate action. Stop asking for more hours. Start demanding more from the ones you already have. Wake up with a reason. Move with a mission. And stop treating your time like it's infinite, because it's not. One day you'll look back and realize that your future was being built or broken in these small, quiet hours. Own them before they own you. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. It seduces you into settling, into delaying, into convincing yourself that where you are is good enough. But growth doesn't live in comfort zones. It lives in friction, in pressure, in that uncomfortable space where excuses die and new standards are born. You weren't built to sit still, to coast, or to stay safe. That voice inside you, the one that whispers for more, that pulls you towards something greater, it doesn't speak from ego. It speaks from truth, and it will never be satisfied with a life lived beneath your potential. Because deep down, you already know comfort isn't peace. It's quiet decay. The moment you start choosing what's easy over what's necessary is the moment your vision starts to die. Every shortcut steals from your strength. Every compromise you make for convenience weakens the muscle of discipline. The real reward isn't the end result. It's who you become through the effort. When you train yourself to do the hard things, even when you don't want to, you begin building the version of you that can't be shaken by circumstances. That's the person who's ready for the life you say you want. Because without pressure, there is no transformation. Diamonds aren't made in comfort, they're forged through fire. Comfort tells you to stay, growth tells you to go, and every single day you choose which one wins. Nobody drifts into excellence. You fight for it. You earn it. You get up early when no one's watching. You say no when it's easier to say yes. You stay locked in when everyone else checks out. Why? Because you know the cost of staying comfortable is too high. It may feel good now, but it robs you of a future you were born to claim. So if you want to rise, embrace discomfort. Make it your training ground. Let it stretch you, sharpen you, and strip away everything weak. Comfort will never build the life you crave, but struggle, the kind you choose with purpose, absolutely will. The world owes you nothing, not respect, not recognition, not opportunity. And the sooner you accept that, the faster you take back your power. Entitlement is a poison disguised as hope. It convinces you that someone else should care, that someone else should open the door, that life should be fair. But life isn't fair. It's raw. It's real. It responds to execution, not expectation. You can either stay bitter about what hasn't been given to you, or you can become relentless about earning it. But you can't do both. The people who rise are the ones who stop waiting and start building, who stop wishing and start working. They make peace with the fact that no one's coming to save them, and in that realization they find unstoppable strength. Victimhood is easy. Blaming others is easy. But it robs you of your ability to lead yourself. Every time you point the finger outward, you're giving away control. You're saying, my future depends on someone else. But that's a lie. Your future is yours to command. And once you realize that nobody owes you anything, you stop wasting energy on resentment and start fueling your rise with personal accountability. Ownership is the birthplace of power. When it's your fault, It's also your fix. That shift in mindset changes everything. Because now you're no longer at the mercy of life, you're a force shaping it. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for someone to notice your value. Validate yourself by doing the hard things. Build proof. Let your daily decisions become undeniable evidence of your worth. And if no one claps for you, clap for yourself. Because the mission doesn't change just because you're overlooked. It continues, louder, stronger, deeper. This world won't hand you greatness, but it will respect those who demand it through their discipline. So reject the need to be given something. Instead, become someone no one can ignore, through action, through results, through a fire inside you that refuses to be extinguished, no matter who's watching or who's absent. That's how you rise. That's how you win. There will be days when everything feels slow, when progress seems invisible, when effort feels wasted. And this is where most people quit, not because they're weak, but because they don't understand how growth actually works. Growth is quiet. Change is invisible before it's undeniable. You don't see the roots taking hold, the foundation being built, the internal wiring being rewired day by day. And because they can't see it, most people assume it's not working, so they stop. But the ones who rise, the ones who transform, are those who keep going even when there's no applause, no visible reward, no clear signs. They trust the process more than they crave the proof. Your life won't change overnight, but your discipline can, and that's the real breakthrough. The shift from needing results now to committing regardless of results, that's what separates those who eventually make it from those who live in cycles of quitting. Every rep, every choice, every early morning, every ignored distraction, it compounds. And even when it feels like nothing's happening, something always is, because every disciplined action becomes a brick. Brick by brick, the structure rises, but only for those patient enough to lay them consistently without expecting instant payoff. Don't let slow progress trick you into believing you're failing. Progress isn't always visible, but it is always real when you're consistent. You're not just building habits, you're becoming someone stronger, sharper, more focused. You're rewiring your identity through repetition. And that shift can't always be measured by the eye, but it's happening in the core of who you are. So, stay the course. Ignore the urge to chase fast results. Fast is fragile. Real change is built slowly, deeply, and deliberately. And when it finally surfaces, it doesn't just appear, it dominates. Because it wasn't rushed. It was earned. That's how you build something that lasts, not by needing everything to happen today, but by becoming the kind of person who shows up no matter how long it takes. The most powerful version of you is not the one that gets everything right. It's the one that refuses to stay down. Life will hit you. Plans will fall apart. People will disappoint you. You will fail, not once, but many times. And the world will watch to see what you do next. That's the test. Not how perfect you are, but how resilient you are when perfection breaks. Because the people who win in life are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall, feel the pain, and still rise again with more fire than before. Failure is not your enemy. It's your forge. It burns away weakness and exposes your real strength. You don't grow when everything goes your way. You grow when you're forced to confront yourself. When you're left alone with your doubts, your insecurities, your inner battles, and you still choose to keep going. That's the moment character is carved. Not when life claps for you, but when life dares you to quit, and you look it in the eye and keep moving. Every setback is feedback. Every failure is data. And every time you rise from it, you build something deeper than success. You build resilience, the kind that can't be taught, bought, or borrowed, the kind that only comes from walking through the fire and refusing to bow to it. Resilience isn't about being tough all the time. It's about being honest with yourself, feeling the weight, and still stepping forward. It's about choosing action even when you feel broken. It's about showing up tired, uncertain, even afraid, and doing what needs to be done anyway. That's real strength. That's what shapes leaders, warriors, and winners. So when life knocks you down, don't ask, why me? Ask, what now? Stand up, tighten your grip, and remember, every scar you carry is proof that you didn't just survive, you kept moving. That's the mindset that separates the average from the exceptional. Not perfection, not ease, just relentless, resilient action, no matter what. At the end of the day, it's not about how much noise you made, it's about who you became. The followers fade, the applause fades, the recognition fades. But what you build within yourself, no one can take that from you. The hours of discipline, the moments you said no to comfort, the times you showed up when no one believed in you, not even you. That's where the real value is, because everything external can be stripped away in a moment. Status, wealth, attention, they're fragile. But character, work ethic, mental toughness, those are earned, and once earned, they cannot be stolen. The ultimate win isn't proving others wrong, it's proving yourself right. It's becoming the version of you that you always knew you could be, the one who honors their word, the one who doesn't fold under pressure, the one who can stand in silence away from validation and still operate at the highest level. Because success isn't found at the finish line, it's found in the process, in who you are when it's hard, in what you choose when it's painful, in how you show up when it would be easier not to. That's where identity is built. That's where legacy is formed. So don't chase attention. Don't beg for approval. Build in silence. Execute with intent. And move with the kind of focus that makes people ask, what's gotten into you? You don't need their permission. You don't need their praise. You need your purpose. You need your standard. You need the fire that says, I will not leave this world with my potential unused. That's your mission. That's your edge. And every day you either sharpen it or you let it dull. But if you choose to sharpen it day after day, quietly and relentlessly, then eventually the results won't need an introduction. They will speak so loudly that the world will be forced to notice, not because you demanded it, but because you became undeniable, focused, disciplined, unshakable. That's how you win. That's how you take back your life. Not by waiting, but by becoming. Relentlessly, now.